Murder on the High Seas, The Case of Basketball Player Bison Dele, 2002. For Bison Dele there was more to life than basketball. He was born in Fresno, California, on April 6, 1969, the son of Eugene Williams of the 1950s singing group The Platters. His mother, Patricia Phillips, was a Blue Cross claims supervisor who raised her sons alone after she and their father separated when the boys were young. After playing college basketball for the University of Arizona Wildcats, the Orlando Magic picked him in the first round of the 1991 NBA draft. He spent 8 seasons in the NBA with teams in Orlando, Denver, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Detroit. Dele played on the Chicago Bulls championship team in 1996 and 1997. If you enjoy my channel so far, please subscribe it. Although Dele earned millions of dollars, he sometimes used a skateboard to get to work. He nearly quit basketball in 1993 while suffering from clinical depression, but he made a comeback. In 1998, he changed his name from Brian Williams to Bison Dele to honor his Cherokee heritage and the first slave on his mother's side of the family. He also yearned for more from life than the basketball court. He played the trumpet, flew his own airplane, loved skydiving, and was well-read. One afternoon while Dele was playing with the Los Angeles Clippers, the team was in a Dallas hotel in between games. Clippers equipment manager Pete Serrano came downstairs in time to see a helicopter that Dele had rented was waiting in the parking lot. Serrano, Dele, a teammate, and the pilot took a 5-hour flight seeing tour over Texas. He wasn't going to spend the day in his room, Serrano later told a reporter for ESPN. He needed to see things. He had to get out there. Over the years Dele traveled to, among other places, Pamplona in Spain, Cairo, Monaco, Havana, Mexico City, and Morocco. Dele was playing for the Detroit Pistons in 1999 when he retired abruptly from basketball. He left behind more than $30 million in salary and 5 years remaining in his 7-year contract. He was the team's highest-paid player. The 6'10", 260-pound player just did not have the desire to play anymore. He told a reporter that he probably would have been a better player if he had exhibited the same kind of passion for basketball as his father did for music. After his retirement, Dele spent 4 months in Beirut, Lebanon, living with one of his closest friends. Ahmad El-Husseini was a Beirut businessman whom he had met while they were both students at the University of Arizona. Dele was a silent partner in Aqua Blue, his friend's Beirut-based water company. He also backpacked through Europe and ran with the Bulls in Pamplona. His journey also took him to India, Indonesia, the Philippines, and New Zealand. He arrived in Australia and lived out of a truck while enjoying the outback. Dele's girlfriend was Serena Carlin, 30, a former New York City real estate agent from Boulder, Colorado. The couple had been dating since January 2002, after being introduced by Dele's friend and business manager Kevin Porter. On May 2, 2002, Dele, 33, and Carlin left Auckland, New Zealand, aboard the Hakuna Matata, Bison's 55-foot catamaran. Hakuna Matata means no worries in Swahili. The boat was painted blue, green, and white. Dele's older brother Miles Dabord, 35, a computer programmer who was fluent in German and Russian, joined the couple on the trip through the South Pacific. He had changed his name from Kevin Williams in honor of Miles Davis and an ancestor. Dabord was 6 foot 8 inches and weighed 260 pounds, but severe asthma kept him from athletic pursuits. Dele helped out his brother financially and gave him a car. The trio, along with Frenchman and professional yacht captain Bertrand Saldo, 32, set sail for Tahiti. After that, they planned to head from Moorea, Tahiti, to Honolulu, Hawaii, via the Tuamotu and Marquesas Islands. The United States was their final destination. Dele had been traveling outside the country for 3 years, since his retirement from basketball. Once they arrived in Tahiti, Dele and Carlin apparently spent most of their time on the island of Moorea. The couple checked into the Sofitel La Aura Hotel shortly after June 16, 2002. They stayed in the area for nearly 3 weeks, with Dele's boat coming and going from the tiny island. He swam and played frisbee while Carlin relaxed in a lounge chair, reading. Throughout their trip through the South Pacific, Dele and Carlin checked in regularly with family and friends. Carlin contacted her mother at least once a week like clockwork, her stepfather Scott Olgren later told a reporter. This is a woman who is connected to her mom at the hip. It was very unusual that we didn't hear from her. Once a month Dele was in touch with his bank and Kevin Porter, his business manager in Michigan. In the last message that Carlin left on an answering machine in July, she said that she was fine but it was sometimes difficult to make contact while traveling from Tahiti to Hawaii. The Hakuna Matata apparently left Papeete, Tahiti's capital city, on July 4 and was scheduled to sail to Honolulu. 2 days later, while the quartet was docked at Tahiti's Taina Marina, Saldo phoned a friend to say that they were soon leaving Tahiti for the Marquesas Islands. Carlin left a voicemail message for her parents telling them that the trip was going well. It was the last time that anyone heard from them. The same day, a witness overheard the two brothers quarreling. The trio was last seen July 7, 2002, sailing near the tiny island of Maui, west of Tahiti. Dabord was the last one to see Dele and the boat's two other passengers alive. Dabord's girlfriend, Erica Weiss, joined him on the Polynesian island of Moorea on July 8 and stayed for a week. It did not seem odd to her that Dele, Carlin, and Saldo were not with them. During his time in French Polynesia, Dabord rented a scooter and took a boat tour to see sharks and manta rays. He docked the empty boat on July 18, hopped on an airplane home to California, and disappeared. Carlin's mother Gail Olgren began to worry in August when she had not heard from her daughter and only child in weeks. They tried to enlist the help of police and the public. They set up a website with information about Carlin and Dele, requesting help from the public with any information that could lead to the couple's whereabouts. The Coast Guard and Tahiti Search and Rescue began looking for the Hakuna Matata on August 27, 2002. Divers in Tahiti searched for clues in the waters off the island of Moorea in a lagoon on the north coast. The missing trio had spent time there just before they disappeared. There were no signs of the boat, but Dabord turned up shortly afterwards thousands of miles away in the United States when Dele's business manager noticed that something was amiss with the former NBA player's finances. Kevin Porter had met Dele in college and they became close friends. When Dele joined the NBA, Porter became his business manager. He would sign the checks that Dele approved to help out his brother. On August 31, 2002, he discovered that a personal check for $152,000 had been drawn on Dele's account to purchase Golden Eagle coins from a dealer in Phoenix, Arizona, called Certified Mint. The check had an address for a mailboxes etc. franchise in Miami and the signature did not match the one that the bank had on file. This set off alarm bells for Porter. Dele used certified checks or a credit card to pay bills. He had not written a personal check in 10 years. He also did not have a mailbox with mailboxes etc. Porter phoned Certified Mint and learned that the purchaser had requested the coins be delivered to the mailbox. The owner of the shop provided the two telephone numbers that Dabord, posing as his brother, had given. When Porter phoned one of the numbers, the answering machine had Dele's usual message, but it was his brother's voice. The man pretending to be Bison Dele phoned Certified Mint on September 3 and said that he would come pick up the coins in Phoenix 2 days later rather than having them mailed to the Miami address. Porter informed Phoenix police that something was amiss. Dele and Dabord's mother, Patricia Phillips, flew to Phoenix with Porter the following day. She told investigators in Phoenix that Dabord had been somewhat estranged from the family for about 3 years, but that he would return after one of his get-rich-quick schemes had failed. The bank notified the Phoenix Police Department that a possible forgery had occurred. Dabord arrived at Certified Mint on the afternoon of September 5, 2002, and identified himself as Dele. He showed Bison's passport as proof. The Phoenix police took him into custody. He was in possession of Bison's passport and 2 credit cards. Dabord told police that Dele had authorized the transaction, and he was released that evening without police filing any charges. When Dabord left the police station, Porter was waiting. He questioned him for hours about the fate of Dele, Carlin, and Saldo. The discussion ended at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. According to an interview that Porter granted ESPN, when Porter insisted that Dabord divulge the whereabouts of the missing trio, Dabord allegedly said, "We're in a state that carries the death penalty. I'm flying to a state, California, that carries the death penalty. In order for me to tell you anything, I have to be in Mexico." Then Dabord boarded a plane to Palo Alto, California, just after 5:30 a.m. on September 6, 2002, and disappeared again. The same day that Dabord was questioned by Phoenix police, a friend of Captain Saldo found the Hakuna Matata docked in the port of Taraveo on the east coast of Tahiti. A pair of French and American flags that had faded from the sun were hanging from its mast. However, the boat had been repainted and renamed the Aria Bella. There was no sign of Dele, Carlin, and Saldo. French authorities suspected foul play. They believed that Dabord had killed the trio and tossed the bodies overboard. On September 6, the Federal Bureau of Investigation issued an arrest warrant for Dabord for identity theft and forgery. Agents searched for him in Mexico. Officials from the FBI in San Francisco also sent a team of 13 forensics experts to Tahiti to investigate the disappearance of Dele, Carlin, and Saldo and search their boat for clues as to their fate. The FBI later learned that Dabord had his brother's checking account statements forwarded to the 2 mailboxes he had rented. He also purchased a cell phone in Dele's name and apparently planned to buy a business in Belize in Dele's name. The FBI believed that he was planning to assume his famous brother's identity. Dabord's former girlfriend Erica Weiss was listed as the boat's primary emergency contact. Authorities got in touch with her, and she told the FBI and the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department what she had learned from Dabord while driving him from Northern California to the Mexican border. He told her that there had been a scuffle aboard the yacht between Dabord and Dele. Dabord told Weiss that Carlin was accidentally punched during an onboard fistfight between the 2 brothers. She fell, hit her head, and died. The captain wanted to radio authorities about Carlin's death, and Dabord claimed that Dele killed Saldo with a wrench to stop him. Then he threatened Dabord, who grabbed his brother's handgun and shot him in self-defense. Based on that information, Tahiti officials turned the disappearance of the 3 people into a murder investigation. French investigators believe that Dabord killed his 3 companions in a struggle aboard the boat on July 7, 2002. FBI agents inspecting the abandoned yacht the following week found 2 small traces of blood and gunpowder residue from a large-caliber weapon, but no bodies. There was little doubt in the mind of Michel Merritt, the chief prosecutor for the territory of French Polynesia, that Dele, Carlin, and Saldo had been killed. Dabord had placed a satellite telephone call from the catamaran, which authorities believe occurred after the death of his companions aboard the Hakuna Matata. FBI officials tracked down the recipient of the call, who lived in the South Pacific. The person was questioned in an effort to uncover more clues as to what happened aboard the boat. But the person, whom police never identified, was reluctant to discuss the matter with authorities. Investigators hoped that calls made from the satellite phone would help them determine the boat's location when the captain and his passengers went missing. They believed that the bodies were probably tossed overboard into the deep, shark-infested waters of the South Pacific near the tiny Polynesian island of Maio. "We presume that the bodies of these people must be in the sea, the ocean, and will probably never be found," Prosecutor Merritt said at the time. In the area where they disappeared, the water was almost 10,000 feet deep. The likelihood of finding the bodies was remote. More than 10 weeks after the trio went missing, authorities all but gave up hope of finding their bodies. They decided to concentrate their investigation on examining the boat and questioning anyone who could shed some light on just what happened aboard the Hakuna Matata. They dismantled parts of Dele's boat at the Tahiti port of Taraveo to probe it with a metal detector, looking for bullets. The locals were stunned by the turn of events and the busloads of investigators who arrived to examine the boat. Nobody in Tahiti had realized that 3 people were missing, and murders there were rare. The one person who could provide answers about what had transpired aboard the boat had fled to Tijuana, Mexico. Mexican police found some of his clothes in a hotel room there, but no sign of Dabord. After a warrant for his arrest was issued, he phoned his mother Patricia Phillips at home in Santa Monica, California, and left a message on her answering machine. He was threatening to commit suicide. "No one will believe me when I tell them what happened," he reportedly said. It would be the last time that Phillips heard her eldest son's voice. Just over a week after an arrest warrant was issued for Dabord, a man was found comatose and without identification on a street in Tijuana. He was brought over the Mexico-California border to Scripps Memorial Hospital near San Diego and admitted as a John Doe. He was barely clinging to life and was placed on life support in the intensive care unit. Over the following days, the man's condition remained the same. Hospital officials contacted the Chula Vista Police Department to try to determine the man's identity. They wanted to inform his family where he was. Police fingerprinted the patient and learned on September 19, 5 days after he was found, that he was Miles Dabord, also known as Kevin Williams. They also discovered that he was wanted by the FBI. The 2-week intensive manhunt for him was over. Dabord was not facing any charges in connection with the disappearances of the other passengers aboard the Hakuna Matata, but police placed the unconscious man under arrest on a fraud charge and for allegedly fleeing arrest on that charge. If he regained consciousness, they wanted to question him about the events that occurred on his younger brother's boat. He would also be extradited to Phoenix to face fraud charges in connection with impersonating Bison Dele. According to the brother's mother, Dabord went into a coma after he overdosed on insulin and failed to take his asthma medication. A week after the Chula Vista Police Department identified Dabord, it became apparent that police would never find out what happened aboard the Hakuna Matata from the only survivor. Doctors told his mother that Dabord had suffered significant brain damage and there was no hope of him coming out of his coma. Life support was the only thing keeping him alive. Phillips brought 2 aunts, 4 cousins, and a friend to the hospital to pray by her son's bedside. One of the cousins, the Reverend Eugene Marzette, led the prayer service. Then she asked doctors to disconnect the life support machines that were keeping Dabord alive. In a desire to shield him and her family in his final moments, Phillips did not tell reporters at what moment she planned to have him unhooked from the respirator. "I don't want a media circus around us on the day my son's life ends," she later explained to a reporter. Dabord died at Scripps Memorial Hospital during the evening on September 27, 2002. An autopsy and toxicology tests indicated that he had overdosed on Valium. His remains were cremated and Patricia Phillips held a private memorial service for her 2 sons on October 12, 2002, at Trinity Baptist Church in West Los Angeles. A tangible part of her sons stayed with her. One memory box held Dabord's ashes, and the other, for Dele, contained pictures, mementos, and a stone from Tahiti. But the questions still remain. Did Dabord kill his travel companions? What really happened that led an idyllic South Pacific holiday to turn deadly for 4 people? The secret remains buried with Dabord and in Dele, Carlin, and Saldo's watery grave. We bow in front of you and thanks you for watching. If you enjoy my channel so far, please subscribe it.